How's everybody doing today? Today our topic is the secret to understanding difficult people. Now it's going to be more than that. It's actually a system where, how can I describe this? You've probably heard of the 7 chakras. Well, people have different energy levels. So if you understand the energy level that somebody's acting at, you understand their feelings and their thoughts, then you can be more effective in communicating with them. Oftentimes, if somebody's at one level and they're talking to somebody at a different level, they're not communicating, they can't hear each other. So if you can figure out what level people are at and what level you're at, not only can you be more effective at speaking with them, you can communicate on the same level, and then it's much more productive. You can get more things done together. So it's really a system for understanding people. Now, once again, I use the example of the 7 chakras, and it's not exactly the same thing, but it is, we'll call it its cousin. But anyway, let's start with our quote of the day. If you want to build a ship, don't gather your people and ask them to provide wood, get tools, and start assigning tasks. Instead, call them together and raise in their minds the longing for the endless sea. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Now, everyone has people in their lives they just can't seem to connect with or get on the same page. So today I want to give you a framework for identifying different personality types and thoughts, feelings, and emotions associated with each, as well as for tips for dealing with them. Now, it's very different from the personality types that we discussed when we talked about Myers-Briggs. Other words to describe it might be drive, behavior, essence, or even mojo. So for simplicity's sake, however, I'm going to refer to this as personality types or levels. But you can call it whatever you like. The system I'm presenting here is actually based on the work of Bruce D. Snyder. He's the founder of IPEC, which is a life coaching school. And this is the core foundation of the book, Energy Leadership. Now, essentially, there are 7 different levels that are characterized by thoughts, feelings, and actions. And once you understand the different types, their drives, their influences, their motivations, I'm going to suggest some strategies for dealing with each type. But just to start with, level 1 is the victim, and that's characterized by helplessness. Level 2 is the fighter, and that's characterized by conflict or anger. Level 3 is the rationalizer, and that's we think of them as logical people. Level 4 is the caregiver. You think of that as nurses, Mother Teresa types. Level 5 is the opportunity seeker, and the best way to sum that is entrepreneurs. Level 6 is the visionary. You could probably think of people like Gandhi. And level 7 is the creator, and there we think of the Dalai Lama. Now, most people operate at the first and second levels, although in the course of the day we all fluctuate between levels, and even in dealing with different people, you may deal with one person at level 5 and one person at a level 1. Reality is in life you run into very few level 6s and level 7s. But it's important to understand that because people fluctuate during the day in any situation, they may react differently depending on whether in a stressful situation or a non-stressful situation. So we all have a bit of each level within ourselves. Now, I want to go into more detail about the core thoughts, feelings, and actions associated with each level. And then I'm going to give you ideas for strategies for dealing with them. Now, the first 2 levels are what we call catabolic or negative, destructive energy. The next 5 levels are anabolic or constructive energy. Level 1 is the victim, and we've all met them. Their core thought is, I have no control over my life or any of the events that occur. Oftentimes, they're a victim of crimes or someone who's been physically or verbally abused. And their core feeling is apathy, hopelessness, helplessness. There's a total lack of engagement, initiative, or enthusiasm. And the results of these feelings are people who are lethargic with an inability to take action. They see failure as their only option. Their mantra is, I lose. They tend to have a weak personal identity, low self-worth or sense of importance, and they have little or no trust or confidence in themselves, people in general, or ideas. They feel so helpless and powerless that they avoid making decisions or taking action. They tend to judge themselves harshly and feel like they've lost before they've even tried. They may have great difficulty in facing reality or envisioning a future. No faith equals no miracles. Now, we all exhibit traits of the victim personality when our thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and perceptions work against us or prevent us from doing something. It can be our doubts, our guilt, our fears, worry, or anxiety. However, if somebody exhibits a chronic victim mentality, it may be difficult or impossible to motivate. Now, you can identify them by listening for continual statements such as, "I can't," or "I shouldn't," as they only see problems and impediments. Now, no level is inherently good or bad. They all have advantages and disadvantages. So the advantages of level 1 are you don't have to do much, and you have a very low energy output. Now, this may allow you to be nurtured or receive sympathy from those around you. But the disadvantage is there's a general lack of engagement and no ability to lead yourself or others. But once again, no level is all good or all bad. Level 2, the fighter. The core thoughts are conflict, struggle, judgment. Everything is black or white, right or wrong thinking. The core feelings are anger, resentment, annoyance, hostility, irritability, and frustration. I wonder if we can all think of somebody in power that this may characterize. Anyway, the results of your actions are defiance, resistance, disobedience, contempt, even rebellion. Their mantra is, "You lose." Now let's suppose you have an employee who did something wrong and needs to be terminated. You could use a technique that reflects the level 2 mentality by just outright firing them. You're not looking for win-win. You're just telling them, "You did something wrong, here's your punishment. You lose." Now, I know this doesn't sound flattering, but most people spend most of their time in level 1 or level 2, between either victim passivity or anger conflict. Their fear-based energy makes them accustomed to focusing on problems instead of solutions. The advantage of level 2 is your aggressive behavior leads you to getting a lot done by yourself. You're able to motivate others, but the disadvantage is the motivation comes from anger and fear. So these results can't sustain themselves. So people around you tend to become dissatisfied, unproductive, and either give up or quit. Moving along. The next level is level 3, the rationalizer. Their core thought is responsibility. You own your own feelings and you're accountable for your choices and your experiences. The core feelings are forgiveness, condoning, pardoning, letting go of resentment or anger, and excusing fault or mistakes. The results of these feelings are cooperation and working hard toward a common or shared goal or benefit. They're good at coping and easily give in to feelings of, "That's good enough." People at level 3 are prepared to take responsibility for their actions, knowing that no one can make them feel anything. It's their responsibility, and the choice is to react or not react to anything that comes along in life. Their mantra is, "I win." It's okay if you win too, but I must win. They tend to have a strong personal identity with good self-esteem and self-confidence. They have a confident belief in the truth, value, or trustworthiness of people. They're willing to work with people they like and tolerate people that they don't. The way they promote cooperation is to release everything that blocks it. So, putting this to practical use, threatening somebody at this level would be counterproductive. You need to find a way to help them release their fear, guilt, and anger. That's what's going to make them productive, communicate with you. It's going to open them up, make them want to do it. Now, to put this in perspective, an example of a situation we could use a technique that resounds with someone at level 3 would be if you have an employee who's an alcoholic. You can give them the option to stay sober and keep their job, or else they have to leave the company. Now, you win either way by either getting them to change their behavior and staying sober, or leaving the company if they don't. Now, once again, Your motivation is, I want to win. I hope you win too. I don't care though. Either way, I win. It's great if we can both win. The advantages are they don't allow other people to stand in the way of what they want. They have the ability to avoid, block, or release negativity of others, and they're able to engage. The disadvantage is they can tend to be seen as manipulative or self-concerning. Moving along, level 4, the caregiver. Now I like to think of this once again, I mentioned Mother Teresa or nurse, someone of that kind of ilk. Their core thoughts are concern, care, interest, or involvement in connection with others. Their core feelings are compassion, sympathy, and concern for the suffering of others, empathy, sensitivity, warmth, tenderness, kindness, and self-compassion. They tend to be happy, successful, playful, and fun. Their mantra is, you win. They don't take words or actions personally. They have a confident belief in the truth, value, trustworthiness of people, ideas, and other things outside of themselves. They don't waste any time worrying about what others may have done to them. Instead, they consider what each person's current problem may be and how they can fix it. Like the rationalizer at level 3, they also tend to have a strong personal identity with good self-esteem and self-confidence. The advantage is they take very little personally. They truly care for and help everyone to do the best job they can. The disadvantage is they can get caught up in other people's drama and sympathy. Level 5, the opportunist. And once again, I like to think entrepreneur. The core thought is reconciliation. We should all come together in agreement. They try not to judge or focus on right and wrong. Things are fine just the way they are. You always have the power to make choices. They're not driven by fear, but instead by opportunity. These people tend to be entrepreneurs and natural leaders. They're inspiring and motivating, and their core feelings are peace, calmness, contentment, and harmony. The results of these feelings are acceptance, believing, willingness to receive, agreement for what is, and accepting of differences instead of identifying and focusing on changing them. Their mantra is win-win. Also, like the rationalizer and the caregiver, they tend to have a strong personal identity with good self-esteem and self-confidence. They have a confident belief in the truth, value, and the trustworthiness of people, ideas, and other things outside of themselves. The advantage is they find opportunities in all challenges and take very little or nothing personally. But the disadvantage is they can experience paralysis by analysis and by disengaging from emotions. So you can see how these levels start to kind of build on one another, and as you move up the ladder, they usually have all the positive qualities of the classification or the energy level beneath it. Now we're getting to the high levels. Level 6, the visionary. Think Gandhi. The core thought is synthesis. They like to combine separate elements to create a coherent whole or gestalt, in which the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Their core feelings are joy and a permanent sense of pleasure, happiness, and delight. The results of these feelings are wisdom and an attitude of, we'll figure this out. Their mantra is, everybody always wins. There's no minimal, or there isn't any or a minimal sense of ego, very little. They live in the present moment and they're acutely aware of it. There's a deep inner knowing and a belief that they don't need to be logical or have proof. Now the advantage is they're empathetic and they tend to have the ability to feel and connect without judgment, as well as great intuition. The disadvantages are they may not be so grounded, and they could be out of touch with others and even viewed as aloof. They may be very high risk takers. The final level, the creator. This is the highest level, and the core thought is non-judgment, objectivity, and lack of fear. People at this level transcend their ego and become one with everything. Their core feelings are total bliss, energy, intense desire or enthusiasm for all experiences. Their actions result in creation, bringing something into existence, spontaneous, a manifestation of ideas, thoughts, and even genius thinking. Their mantra is, winning and losing is an illusion. They're not really interested in the happenings of the real world, which of course can be a bit of a weakness. Now, very few people operate at this level on a consistent basis. But they also do tend to live in the present moment, and they're acutely aware. Now, the advantage is they can create anything they want. They're connected to an intelligence of the highest order. But the disadvantage is nothing is seen as real. Very spiritual. All right, we've gone through the levels now. So, how do we move between levels? Now, once again, keep in mind, levels are not inherently good or bad. Each level has pluses and minuses. But when we're aware of the 7 levels, we can consciously choose the level which works in any particular situation. Now, why would you want to do that? We do that because each level has its advantages and disadvantages. Now, visualize moving between levels, and you can think of it like, I'm going to use a stock market example. During the course of the day, the price fluctuates depending on whether there are more people buying or selling. Now, thoughts and feelings such as non-judgment and joy, they raise the price of your stock, while their counterparts, victimization and anger, that lowers the price, or the level. So to deal with difficult people or situations, we need to get to the core of the situation and understand the motivations. This allows you to help them from the inside out. You need to empower those around you. People find power when it dawns on them that their true success isn't rooted in helping them, isn't rooted in your helping them. It's grounded in you helping them help themselves. The old saying, give a man a fish, he eats for the day. Teach a man to fish, and he eats for a lifetime. That's what we're talking about here. Give people a sense of control, and when they feel it, they become engaged in what they do. And once this occurs, performance can skyrocket. Now, I want to tell you about my old boss. So I want to give you a concrete example here. I was working a bank in New York, and we got a new manager. He was transferred from Beverly Hills. He was in the private banking operation there, and I was in the credit department in New York. He started interviewing employees to get a lay of the land because he was new to our office, even though he wasn't new to the bank. When he was interviewing me, I essentially told him, I don't care who you are, this company is so rotten and inbred that there's no hope of ever changing the culture or making any positive difference. Now, he was astounded by my anger and my directness, but ironically, and I didn't know this at the time, he felt the same way. He was smart and a well-seasoned manager, and he understood people. So he made it his mission to turn me around and get me on board. I essentially attacked him and told him off. So I wouldn't be surprised if he viewed me as a challenge. Anyway, I bring that up because I want you to start thinking about what level was I operating at, and what could be done to deal with someone like me who is obviously a disgruntled employee. Now we'll come back to that later after looking at some approaches for dealing with difficult people, but think about that. All right, level 1, victim mentality. Once again, their feelings are hopelessness, apathy, helplessness, which culminates in a state of mind of, I hate myself. So the first thing you can do is acknowledge and validate their feelings. You can address their concerns by asking for their input and keeping in mind the big picture, win-win. Assure them that things are not hopeless. Give them the message that you care, and this can be quite effective. You want to reaffirm that they're important to you. Honesty and mutual respect resonates well. When dealing with the level 1 personality, you should try to be perceptive and identify if their attitude is chronic, because if it is, that's a different problem. If it's chronic, you're going to find it very difficult to make any progress with them. Now, one question you can ask that may give you a clue whether it's chronic or not is to ask something like, how are things going in other parts of your life? Then another technique is you can try to raise their behavior from level 1 to level 2. This is a tactic you can use to challenge them. Ask them very pointed or direct questions about their poor attitude, performance, or behavior. Confront them about their negative behavior. Now, your objective is not to be combative, but rather to determine, are they willing to fight for themselves, or are they just a lost cause? Statements like, "There's nothing I can do about it," may indicate that their condition is chronic. It's actually a positive thing if they get angry, and that moves them to level 2, where they can go from lethargy to be willing to fight for themselves. Of course, the opposite may occur, in which they blame everyone else and refuse to take responsibility for their actions. But ask direct questions and give them choices and time to respond. Okay, next, dealing with level 2. These are the anger, conflict-driven personalities. Level 2 people tend to be defensive and possibly combative. Their feeling is, "I hate you." Fear and anxiety may be driving their behavior. Their results are retribution, resentment, defiance. Level 2 is all about control, or more specifically, attempting to control others. They usually act out of fear or pride. They think in black and white and see life with tunnel vision. If they feel that they've been wrong, they may hold grudges and never let go of the resentment. No matter how much evidence tells them that they're wrong, their egos tell them that they're right. Their learning skills tend to be poor because instead of hearing what other people are really saying, they're thinking about what their response will be. Individuals at level 2 have a negative impression of the world and believe that in order for them to win, someone else must lose. People living at level 2, they know how to play the game to get what they want. However, the price for that may be unhappiness, loneliness, or lack of fulfillment. They often make negative comments about others as they're in competition with everyone. And they try to make themselves look better and everyone else look worse. Now, if you can identify the source of these fears or anxiety, you can devise a strategy to alleviate these feelings. A good strategy is to put yourself in their shoes and figure out, why are they doing what they do? Oftentimes, they may want to feel important and valued, like they make a difference. They fight for what's most important to them, which is their self-worth. Now, you can use this desire to turn it around. By becoming a collaborator with them, you can get them to fight for success instead of fighting with everyone around them. Demonstrate and reinforce that they're important and that you can trust them and you want to work with them. Redirect their negative energy for the greater good. Now, it's also good to get buy-in from people at this level. And that will keep you engaged with them and direct energy towards success instead of anger and fighting. Acknowledge them and their feelings, their fears, their concerns, their doubts. It's all about winning and losing, so you should structure scenarios that allow them to win. A good question to ask is, what do you think is the problem? Or how can we partner for success? Make them feel like you're on the same side of the table. Another way to approach them is to ask, how effective have your actions been here? If they acknowledge that they've not been, ask them if they'd be open to a new approach that would allow them to win. Inquire about their beliefs, and if they appear to be mistaken, challenge them. The feelings and some thoughts that can be used to replace beliefs that aren't working are, these are my partners. I don't have to do it alone. I don't have to push anyone. Employees are not a drag on a business, they're an asset. We're all in this together. Dealing with level 3, a rationalizer. Level 3 person's all about taking responsibility. Their feelings are, I forgive you. Their thought process might sound something like, the good news is that all is not lost and there's still time to fix it. And if it's up to me, and it's my responsibility to make everything right, and score the winning touchdown. Now they still judge others, but they don't focus on blame. They accept people for the way they are, which breeds cooperation. They consider themselves as one of many spokes on a wheel. And to make the wheel turn, each spoke needs to do its job. So instead of focusing on what's wrong, people at this level are more interested in making a difference. They want to make a contribution and take pride in their achievements. They tend to react with logic rather than emotions. In dealing with level 3 people, the key is to removing obstacles for their success. You want to resolve the problem, which allows them to move on, and oftentimes this means challenging their rationalizations. You need to engage them and make them feel that they're responsible. Point them in the right direction and let them go. All right, level 4, the caregiver. Level 4 is all about concern and caring for other people, so much that they may even put others' welfare above their own. They feel compassion and genuine connection, and they're ready to serve at a moment's notice. They want to make a difference in the world by serving others. As they no longer take anything personally, there is no blame. Though they may seek others to help them do their jobs better, they want to put their heart into it to figure out a way to help. They want to do the best thing for everybody. Their thoughts are, how can I help you? Their feelings are, I feel for you. Well, a level 3 personality is more likely to use logic. A level 4 personality is more likely to use their emotions. So success in dealing with level 4 personality involves allowing them to fulfill their need of helping others. So how do you deal with a level 4 that you think may have made a mistake? A level 2 or level 3 personality might simply say, you're wrong. A more effective way of communicating with someone at this level might be to say, what do you believe in this report says about your perspective? Allow them to tell you they made a mistake in a non-threatening way. Level 5, the opportunity seeker. Entrepreneurs are simply those who understand that there's little difference between obstacle and opportunity and be able to turn both to their advantage. The entrepreneur always searches for change, responds to it, and exploits it as an opportunity. There are no mistakes, only opportunities. If you understand these statements, you understand the level 5 personality. Their foremost thought is, what is the opportunity? Their feelings are, I understand you. They want to do what's best. They don't see obstacles, only opportunities. So when things don't go according to plan, you can ask them questions like, so what have you learned from this? Where can we go from here? What do you think? How does this change our direction? Every situation is an opportunity for success. There's no judging, so they're open to new ideas. There's the feeling that everything happens for a reason. So telling a level 5 personality what you expect of them can help create a self-fulfilling prophecy. Think about ways to create synergies. They crave the opportunity to express themselves and use their gifts and talents. They want to make a difference in the world, and when they aren't afforded the chance to challenge themselves, expand their talents and contribute, they become disenchanted and then they shut down. So we have to allow them to grow. We have to allow them room. Anyway, moving along, level 6, the visionary. Their feelings are, we are one. What's best for you is best for me. They want to do the best thing. Their core thought is synthesis, which is the blending together of people and everything else. They no longer think in terms of individual perspective. They transcend their own self. I see myself in you. In contrast to other levels, level 3, you forgive. At level 4, you look for a way to be of service. At level 5, you look for the opportunity. But level 6, no choices need to be made. Situations are experienced not as good or bad, but only as situations. There's little need, if any, to make judgment about oneself, others, or life's occurrences. So while you still feel the pain associated with everyday living, you don't judge the pain. Level 6 is the diamond in the rough, which is still inside the coal. So there's still a high potential for creativity and development of self and others, because there are fewer blocks in the way of their potential. Level 6 personalities are usually role models, viewed as being wise, kind, fair. They're willing to do anything, they're willing to do anything they'd ask anyone else to do. They're highly intuitive. They listen to feedback without ego blocks or always striving to improve. They give detailed information to the people they work with on a regular basis. Their philosophy is the more they know, the more things flow. They see everything around them as equal and gifted. It's about creating a team in which all the parts work together without any one part being more important than the others, as the breakdown of one part can mean the breakdown of the entire machine. Finally, level 7, the creator. Their feelings are, I am. This does not really exist in the real world, as there are no clients, no words are spoken, as no business takes place. So this brings us to a theoretical level that Einstein described by saying, fields of energy are the only reality. When energy resonates at such a high level, it's not visible to the human form. I'll give you an example of this. If you take a normal house fan, and first, if you don't have it turned on, how much energy do the blades expand? The answer is none, not moving. Now take the same fan, turn it to a medium setting. There's more energy, so the blades seem to blend together. Now, turn the fan all the way up, and what happens to the blades? They seem to disappear completely, even though there's much more energy coming from them. So to put this in perspective, at level 5, people create opportunities from challenging experiences. At level 6, they create opportunities from all experiences. At level 7, people's creative energy is constant and doesn't require an opportunity to present itself. In a sense, life is the opportunity. The more judgment-free we become, the happier and more successful we'll be, and the less friction we're going to have with those around us. In fact, there's an inverse relationship between levels of judgment and our level of creation. A lot of judgment, a little creation, little judgment, a lot of creation. Now, that brings us to the concept of detached involvement. This kind of experience means we're totally engaged in a task or activity, yet we're completely detached from the result. Another technique we can use to deal with people or situations is called holographic thinking. This means that we have the ability to see multiple perspectives at once. If you look at a photograph, you see it as the camera sees it, which is only one dimension. Holograms are mirrors producing three-dimensional images. When we view our situation holographically, we can view a situation as a whole, not taking in just one dimension, but instead all of them. So to sum up, level 7, because there's no judgment, we don't waste any energy seeing things from only one right or wrong perspective. We no longer focus on finding a right answer. We can instead create powerful solutions. Now, I hope that's not been too theoretical, but to get a broader understanding, it's better to understand the entire spectrum. But now that you've seen all 7 different levels, I hope you can utilize the strategies presented for dealing with each. So, now I want to bring everybody back to earth and tie everything together. Keep in mind, most people reside at level 1 and 2, which unfortunately has the highest levels of catabolic energy, but it also means you have the highest potential to improve. So let's get back to my situation I described earlier when I worked for the bank. Were you able to identify what level I was at? What technique would you have used to make me a more productive employee? Well, here's how it actually turned out. I was operating at level 2. I was angry, frustrated, and hostile. Realizing this, my boss reeled me in by first acknowledging and empathizing with me. He put himself in my shoes and asked for my input, asking me, what do you think of the problem? He got buy-in from me by asking me how we could work together to fix this. He asked me what I would do about it if I was in his shoes. This gave me the opportunity to feel like I was part of the solution instead of part of the problem. He was an effective manager who understood these concepts. Ultimately, he became a huge influence in my life. He's also the person responsible for bringing me to California, which completely changed my life. And it happened because he recognized where I was at and what he needed to do to move me to a different level. Now, it also demonstrates that the theories presented here have practical applications. It's not just some theoretical mumbo-jumbo or psychobabble. They're real techniques for effecting positive change in your life by changing the way that you interact with the people around you. especially those who are the most challenging. So before closing out, I want to give you a few more ideas on dealing with people in difficult situations or difficult people, and this is going to help you to become a more effective leader. Now, other techniques utilized by good leaders are empowering and encouraging others to take their own steps, delegate, sharing detailed information, getting feedback and buy-in, utilizing feedback, plan remaining future-focused, not crisis-focused. Be proactive, not reactive. Use whole brain thinking, not only the logic left hemisphere or emotion right hemisphere. Appreciate the human resource. It also helps to ask probing questions like, what do you really want? Will your current behavior get you there? Would you be open to a new line of action that will ensure the result you want? Now, you may have noticed I spent more time talking about people at the lower levels. And once again, because people at the lower level probably constitute the majority of the people out there in the world. People at level 6 and level 7 you're rarely going to encounter. Now, it's people at levels 3, 4, and 5, even though you encounter them, they're less likely to be difficult. So, if you understand what I presented here, take some time to put it into practice. It can greatly enhance the quality of the relationships in your life. And remember, the best way to predict the future is to create it. Destiny is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. It's not something we wait for, it's something we achieve. This is Joe Pastore with Platinum Method Coaching. Make it a great day.